My name, oh, no, we're not doing that anymore. I feel like what happened is that I moved in with Julia and Oliver and suddenly my skin got oily. Like, what? Is that a thing? Like, what, their house made my skin oily. Hey, y'all. Today is the day. The time has come for you to lip sync for how I spent my budget in August. Just kidding, you don't have to lip sync. I'll just tell you. This is the video in which I report back about how I spent my budget. So I'm talking about how I spent my budget in August. I only bought two little things, and I think some of you kind of already know what they both are, but it's going to be interesting. I'm going to tell you what the things are. I have like little mini reviews of the two things that I bought, and then I kind of have an update about where I'm at with my budget in general. If this is your first time clicking on one of my videos, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Hannah. I love beautiful things, but I don't want to overspend on them, and I also just don't want too many of them. So I try to keep a balance in my life, and I try to keep a balance on my channel too. I don't want to promote overspending or overconsuming, but we all love beautiful things here, and I feel like there is a way to celebrate that without promoting overspending. So I hope you'll subscribe to my channel if that sounds good to you. Let's go ahead and get into the meat now of this video. As usual, I'm going to tell you about my replacements first. So in my beauty budget for this year, I set myself a yearly budget and I'm exempting replacements. And I consider replacements just to be things that are staples for me. I tend to try to keep them practical in terms of how much they cost. So if it's something that lasts for a really, really long time, I don't mind spending a little more on that. But my regular replacements, things that I buy several times a year, like body wash and shampoo, for example, those things I try not to have them be astronomically expensive. But those are the kinds of things that I'm allowed to just buy without taking the money out of my budget. But I still like to report back about them on my channel because it's a point of interest and because it's fun to talk about beautiful things. So this month, it's really a point of interest because I did have like a bona fide straight up makeup replacement. This for me has proven to be not just any old long-term staple, but a very long-term staple. It's the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. I take the shade Chantilly, which is the lightest shade. It's interesting, it's the lightest shade and it works as a spot concealer on me, but if I wanted a concealer of this consistency to be like a brightening under eye concealer, I would have to go to a different brand because this is just my spot concealing shade. So this is the pot that I've had for since before I started my YouTube channel, friends. Before my Know by Year, before my YouTube channel. And as you can see, I have almost completely used it up. And I was kind of hoping to use it up completely, but this is a product that I only use when I have to. I prefer to just put on a little bit of concealer under my eyes, a little bit of green color corrector and blend that out. And then if there are just persistent red areas or spots or healing blemishes or something, then I'll dip into this because it has more coverage, it's a little more sticky, it's thicker, it's more matte, it's less likely to kind of melt into my skin as the day goes on and more likely to stay beefy and continue to cover whatever it is that I've covered up with it. Whatever it is that I've used it to cover up, we're fine. It's fine. Moving on. So I wasn't gonna just like make myself use it just to use it up. It's like I only use it when I need it. And what happened was I think that I've had it for about 3 years at this point, maybe even longer than that, and it's gone off. It doesn't really smell bad, but I just noticed that it wasn't as good of a match for my skin anymore. And I also started just feeling a little bit creeped out by how old it is. So every time I went to use it, I was like putting it on a blemish or some reactive part of my skin. And I felt like I was putting something grody on there. And it just got to the point where I was like, I cannot continue on down this path. So I replaced it and it is indeed darker. It has darkened compared to the brand new one. So that's good to know. I think that I will probably hang on to this for about 2 years, and then whether I've used it up or not, I will go ahead and replace it. I think it probably is about 2.5 years, 2.5 years worth of product, just in terms of like how long it lasts. I probably won't use it up completely, but 2.5 years is a really long stretch over which to stretch I think the like close to $30 that this costs, and it ends up being something that isn't a very high cost product per week or per month or per day or however you want to break it down. So that's why I'm okay with it being high end and being a little bit more money up front. So I replaced that. And then there's another thing that I'm kind of calling a replacement. I think that I'm actually considering it like a replacement slash dedicated review product, but I thought I would go ahead and tell you about it here. And actually, I want you to vote on something. Can I still do like a poll? I might put a poll. I've never done this before. I might put a poll in my video. Look at me now. I'm like a real life YouTuber. So the reason it's kind of a replacement is because it's stick-on nails. And I have never considered salon services to be something that I needed to just exterminate during my no-buy year from my life or pay for with my budget, because it's not something that I have ever had an addictive relationship with. The reason I went on my no buy and the reason I have this very strict budget is that there were many years in my life during which I felt like my spending on beautiful things was out of control. So I did the no buy year to reset, clear the decks, kind of retrain my brain around spending. And then I went from that into budgeting just to keep myself on track. But all during my no buy year, I would occasionally get a massage. I would occasionally go to the Korean spa, and I don't think I got my nails done during my no buy year, but to me, nails are kind of like the same thing as that. I don't like overindulge in it. I just sometimes do it. I sometimes like do it as a kind of self-care that isn't acquisitive. It's not acquisitive in the same way as like buying stuff from Sephora. And so I haven't had the same troubled history with it. And that's why it's been exempt from my budget. So I was getting my nails done pretty regularly. And then I started to kind of consider it a semi-business expense to do with my work on social media, because when I'm doing overhead swatching or like close-up stuff, it's not required to have long nails or to have false nails or to have well-groomed nails. It's not required at all. I just enjoy it. It's one of the ways I express my style, and I feel like it adds value to the visual experience of watching my channel. So that's how I've been going along. I've stopped going to the nail salons since COVID hit. And so I've actually been keeping my nails quite short because I've been washing my hands so much and just like cleaning and sanitizing so much. I didn't want anything to get stuck under my nails. So they've been quite short for quite a long time. And I just recently decided to try a brand of like stick-on nails. I had a horrible experience with stick-on nails from the drugstore. They just like messed up my actual nail beds. So I went with this brand, Static Nails, which is advertised as being like a very nail bed safe glue. So what they say is that the glue is really, really strong, and if you use enough glue, they'll just stay on for like 2 weeks, but that you can pop them off if you need to. And once you loosen them and remove them after you've used them, the glue that they have formulated is really, really unlikely to disrupt or tear up your nail bed. So I was like, that sounds good to me. That's what I want. I'm considering them to be a replacement for the salon service that I used to pay for outside of my budget. But I think I might do like a review of them. Maybe I'll do an overhead shot video where I'm applying them for the first time, experimenting with them, getting to know them. And so in that way, it's kind of like a business expense for my YouTube channel because I'll be using them to create content. So let me show you the 3 styles that I chose, and then I'm gonna put up a poll, and whichever style you guys want is the style that I'll use for the overhead shot video. So this is style number 1. It's kind of like a almond color and they're pointy. This is style number 2, which is absolutely the most avant-garde of the 3 that I got. They're called something like Smoke Show, or I think they might be called Smoke Show or Smoke Effect. They're clear and they have like a smoke swirled effect in them. Those 2 are both the medium length, and then this is, I think, what they call the short length. And these ones are just kind of like a pale periwinkle. All right, I'm putting up the poll now. Click on it and tell me whether you want to see almond, smoke show, or the periwinkle one as the overhead shot demo where I just like explore these nails and get to know them and see if they work as advertised. And that's it for replacements. You guys know that this was just a really, really busy month for me. I mean, I moved in the month of August. So I actually did run out of something that I should have replaced. I ran out of my Timeless Vitamin C serum. I do need to replace it, but Actually, that's a quintessential example because that's something that I don't like being without. And ordinarily, I would have reordered it as soon as I realized that it was empty. But because I was moving and, my address was changing, I didn't. And because of my brain, I still haven't. So that just goes to show that this was just like a low month for replacements, partially because I didn't run out of things like my shampoo and my body wash, but mostly because I just wasn't on top of it with reordering things that I needed. So let's get into the juicy bits. And I will tell you the big ticket item, although it's not a big ticket item kind of by my standards of budgeting. I tend to think of it being a big ticket item if it's like getting towards the $100 or above amount or cost, and things that are under 50, 40, 30, kind of around the $20, $30 mark. That's what I'm comfortable with right now, like one or two of that kind of thing per month. And so I did just buy one thing. It's kind of on the high end of that realm. It's about $40. And if you've been peeping my description box in recent videos, you will already know that it's the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Spotlight Wand Beauty Light. You will already know that it's the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wand in the shade Pillow Talk Medium. And it is what I have on my cheeks today. So this is just going to be like a really quick recap because I know that most of you know this because I talk about this product all the time. But I bought the Beauty Light Wand in the shade Spotlight way back at the beginning of the year, maybe even in January, as part of like a cream cheek haul that I did. But they were all things that I had bought with my budget. I just went on a tear and I fell for it really hardcore. Like, it's the most extraordinary and precious cheek product to me that I've ever come across, that I've ever used or reviewed. It's my one. Like, it's perfect for my needs. I love it so much. I feel like I never want to be without it. But what I'm always doing with it, the one that's in that shade Spotlight, is just sort of like a champagne color. I'm always mixing it with my cream blushes to give it color. And so when she came out with these richly more pigmented ones, Pillow Talk Medium being like the richest and deepest one, I was like, that's it. It's like pre-mixed. It's the champagne, sparkly, beautifully textured, really shiny, and dries down completely, elegant, love the wand, all of it. It's that, but it's like pre-mixed. It's already got color in it and the color looked really beautiful. So I have had this at the very top of my wish list ever since she released it. I've been like, I bet I'm going to buy that someday. But I've been putting it off and putting it off because it's a lot of money for me with how I'm trying to spend my budget. I just $40 on one thing since the end of March. Like, during January and February and a little bit into March, I was buying some more expensive items here and there. And I did spend a lot of my yearly budget just in those 3 months. But since the end of March, when I changed my ways and decided I was going to just do sort of like this reduced, no big ticket item things, $40 for one thing is like a bit on the high end. So I didn't feel really excited to spend that much on it, even though I knew that I knew this is kind of like the key point. I knew that I was going to buy it someday. I had gotten to the point where it was months and months and months that had gone by, and I just remained convinced that I was going to buy it someday. It wasn't until like I might buy it someday. It was like, I'm definitely going to do this. It just is too perfect of a product for me. I think I was kind of waiting for a month when there wasn't something else that I wanted. And this month we got a bit of a ways into the month, and two things happened. One was that there wasn't really anything else on my radar. It was more towards the beginning of the month though, because it was again before the S hit the F a little bit in my life with moving. We got far enough into the month and things were chaotic enough that I was like, I actually don't think there's going to be anything else that comes along this month that I really want. And I placed the order from Sephora to replace my NARS concealer. And I think that if I hadn't done that, if I hadn't already been placing an order from Sephora, I probably would have just continued to put it off. I would have just let it go. So that's just interesting to note in passing that this happened last month too. My purchases that I made with my budget were all piggybacking on replacements. So I am not concerned because I haven't overspent of my budget either of these months, but I'm filing it away as a pattern, right? I recognize that already placing a replacement order is like it's like opening the door to me to spend my budget or to buy a thing that I've been holding off from buying for a while. And so when I do that in the future, I'm just going to like check myself a little bit and be like, are you sure you really want to do this? Do you really want to spend this much of your budget? Do you really want to buy this item? Or are you just doing it now because the door has been opened by a replacement and you're excited and you just want something new? Here's the gag though. I don't think that I love it completely. And okay, really quick review of this because I've only had it for part of this past month. So I've only had it for a couple of weeks and I was moving. So I haven't gotten to use it as much as I would have used it if circumstances had been different, right? If circumstances had been different, at this point I would be like, I have a full and thorough review. I know everything about this. I'm an expert. But instead, it's just like I've worn it several times, but I haven't even been able to concentrate as much on learning from the experience to report back to you as I usually am because things have been so chaotic. So let's say that this isn't my final answer. This isn't my final review of the product. I'll come back and let you know at some point in the future. But I'll tell you how I'm feeling at this point. When I first opened it and put it on, I was like, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me in the whole world. Like I was just like, this is it. It is exactly what I thought it would be. And I think that that's because the color is really beautiful. And you'll see I've taken pains not to get it messed up. I've been really careful only to squeeze a little bit out and then to close it. And I'm going to experiment with this and see if one is more careful than Hannah Louise Poston customarily is with a thing like this. Can one keep it from getting as messy as my other one has gotten? Opened it, I swatched it, and it's such a good blush color for me because it's not really dark. It's designed to be a highlighter for deeper skin tones. So it has a little bit of that kind of sheer quality to it. The color also it isn't like a deepening color for deep skin tones. It is a deepening color for me, but it's not like dark on me. So I really like that about it. It's coppery, so it's got a little bit of a bronzy quality to it instead of being like too peach or, too pink. And I really, really like that about it too. And it's also super reflective. In fact, I noticed on the Sephora website that they categorized this one as being like a shimmer finish along with the Spotlight wand. And then the other three, which are Pinkgasm, Glowgasm, and maybe Pillow Talk. No, I think this one and Pillow Talk Light and Spotlight wand are all supposed to be like the sparkly ones. And then Pinkgasm and Goldgasm and Peachgasm are all like shine finish. So I don't know if like in any case, it's as reflective, presumably as reflective as the one that I've fallen in love with already, the other one that I have. So I got it. I put it on my hand. I was like, I live. I put it on my cheeks. I was like, I live. And I was like running around like a chicken with my head cut off, unpacking boxes, just checking myself in sort of blurry bathroom mirrors here and there. And for a couple of days, I was like, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I'm obsessed. Then I started wearing it for filming. And, when I prepare for filming, I'm paying a bit more attention to the way that my makeup looks. And then I'm also editing my footage and seeing it with all these studio lights. And I put it on today as carefully as I could and with as intense of an application as I could so that you can really see the color. And I think you are able to see the thing that has concerned me, which is that it's hard to get an even look. I don't know if what I am trying to say is that it's hard to get an even application, because I don't think that that's true. One of the things I really love about the other one, the one that has less color in it, is that it's really easy to apply. You apply it, you blend it out, it's so smooth. It's not patchy, and it's not patchy on my cheeks. Like if I look at it in the mirror and I turn my head and I just try to check all the edges to make sure that the application isn't uneven. I'm like double, triple checking to see if there's anywhere that I could blend it more or add more, and checking from all angles. I'm telling you, the application isn't patchy, but there's something about the way that the reflect is taking the light that makes it look patchy. It's like it's picking up on like the uneven way in which my cheeks are sort of shaped a little bit and reflecting light in kind of funky directions. And it just, do you see that? It looks like there's a dark spot from a certain direction, from a certain angle. It just doesn't have the same just cherubic, greasy glow all over my cheeks as I get when I mix the other one, the champagne colored one, with a blush, even though I kind of thought that that was what this was. It might be, I just looked at the listing today and it's billed as like an iridescent coppery glow. So it might be the fact that there's that darker pigment in it for the copper. It might be the fact that it's a bit iridescent. So maybe it's like got more dynamic reflective pigment in it. And so it's not giving as even a reflect. Whatever it is, at this moment in my evolving relationship, I'm sure, with this product, it's a little bit of a low point at this moment as I'm reporting back, because I feel like the last time I filmed, my cheeks looked a little bit, they looked a little bit like I hadn't done the best job applying my blush. And I feel like I got that same effect today. And I just think that it maybe isn't going to be what I had dreamed that it would be. I don't regret buying it. I also haven't tried mixing it with blush yet, and I haven't tried mixing it with the other one yet and all this stuff. But the road is not without rocks, and I feel like that's all that I can say. We'll all follow its future career in my life with great interest. All right, and the second thing that I purchased with my budget was the set of colorful clip-in hair extensions that I've been wearing nonstop since they arrived, because I'm just getting such a kick out of it. I'm trying to get the other one to show you. So I think this, wait, is this the one that's my favorite one? Yeah, I think this is my favorite one. It's like a rose gold. It's sort of like a soft peachy pink. And then this one back here is a little bit more of a pink. And I like putting one in, I like putting two in. I love matching them to my makeup. I really like wearing them when I'm filming. I just feel like it's adding a little excitement, je ne sais quoi. It's adding some texture and color interest to my filming wardrobe. I won't continue to wear one like literally every time I film. Just give me a minute to get tired of them, okay? Because I'm still not tired of them. But I will tell you that when I bought them, I didn't actually I wasn't actually really thinking like I'm buying this with my budget. I was thinking that I was buying them because Julia and Oliver have nieces and they are part of their family pod. So since we've joined their family pod, since we've joined Julia and Oliver, we're like one household now, and we're all being really careful not to expose ourselves as best we can to the virus. They are also kind of like in a bubble with other extended family members. And so we've gained like a little bit more family even than just them, because we've gained the rest of their extended family in their bubble. I'm not explaining this very grammatically, but I think I know what you mean. I think you know what I mean. What I'm trying to say is that I'm going to be hanging out with these little nieces. And so before we moved, I was like, how can I seduce those nieces? Like, what can I have with me the first time I hang out with them that I can then like give to them or share with them, and we can kind of like be together and get on the same page and kiki. And this was my genius idea. I was like, I'm going to wear these colorful hair extensions, and then when they admire them, I'll take them out of my hair and give them to them. And then they'll be, the camera cut me off right when I was delivering the beautiful line, and then they'll be mine forevermore. That's my plan. And that's still my plan. So what I'm telling you is that some of these hair extensions will be gifted. I'm just getting used to them now and playing with them, but I'm planning to use some of them as bait, emotional bait, to reel in these little nieces that I've inherited with this bubble, this new family quarantine bubble. So initially when I bought them, I was like, this is just a gift. And I'm just going to be like, I bought these hair extensions with a gift, with regular money, not my budget, because I'm going to give them away. But then I started playing with them and wearing them on YouTube and loving them so much that I realized that I'm going to be keeping some of them. And it may be that if I give them all away slowly over time to the nieces, that I'll like replace them, in which case one price of one set will have been just regular money that I bought a gift with that, and then the other will have come from my budget. I just realized I needed to go ahead and account for this situation with my budget now, because I'm going to continue to like wear some of them and use some of them. And, you know, there's part of me that's like, I'm getting gratification from the way in which they're satisfying my hair restlessness. And so even if I ended up giving them all away, the fact that I like made the purchase that kind of helped sate that desire, in addition to being a purchase that will help me reel in the nieces, it just means for me, with my own personal ethics, that has to be a budget purchase. I don't want to feel like I'm fudging it. So that's it. The hair extensions, the set was about $12. and the Charlotte Tilbury blah 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 is I think $38. So I spent exactly $50, which is kind of like the upper limit of what I'm comfortable with, on two things, and that's just exactly right for me. I love that it's just two things, and one of them I might be slowly whittling away at giving them all away, and the other one I'll continue to review. Really glad that I got them both, and I'm glad that I haven't felt, really tempted to buy other things or to go overboard. Again, this has been such a chaotic month that it's been hard to like spare any energy for just that wild and crazy desire. It has started to creep back a little bit though. There were two occasions recently on which I found something just clicking around Instagram or online or something, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I want that. I want to spend hundreds of dollars and like place an order on this website." I'll tell you about that in my check-in because I've already kind of decimated my check-in by filming that Get Ready With Me. So I need some meat for that video. So I'm going to tell you about those things in that check-in. It'll be really soon on my channel. Keep an eye out. To round out this video, I did just want to say that with my budget, I feel like it's worth stating that I haven't actually done that good of a job keeping track of it since the first crazy thing happened, which was the 3 months where I way overspent. I spent like half of my yearly budget in the first 3 months of the year. And then I was like, Hannah, put the brakes on. I really slowed it down. I just started spending a little bit every month on one or two things every month. And when I started doing that, it's felt like such small potatoes, and I felt so calm and in control about it that I haven't been like entering it into my Word document. I just haven't been paying that much attention. I've been like, oh yeah, it's been like between $35 and $50 every month without fail. And I do have a record of it in all my video notes and in all my videos. So at the end of the year, when I'm going to add everything up together and like look at what I bought and rank everything I bought in the second half of the year, when I go to do that, I'll have all the information. But it feels like I'm not doing it. I'm not sticking to my rules for the sake of sticking to rules anymore. I'm doing it because I'm highly motivated not to spend very much of my money because my life has been completely upended, and because I'm highly motivated not to enter into that headspace where I'm like buying a bunch of stuff to shove into the empty hole inside me. I feel really motivated to avoid both of those conditions. And so I feel like I'm able to do it without such intense measuring and monitoring. And that has always been the long-term goal. So I'm telling you that I haven't been doing that good of a job keeping track of it, but I'm also kind of celebrating that because I like this feeling that I don't have to work so obsessively hard to stay in control. But because that's the case, and because it's now been 5 months since I changed my 2020 spending ways at the end of March, I did go back and actually add it up. So I haven't been keeping good track of it this whole time, but I went back and I looked at my goal for the year, my spending for the first 3 months, and my spending for the rest of the year since then. And I'm able to report back like in a big picture way that in theory, I have now between $400 and $600 left. In theory, I could spend up to $600 in these remaining 4 months, and I will still have met my goal of not spending more than the budget that I gave for myself. I would like to come in under, so I'm kind of thinking 400. That's $100 a month. $100 a month still feels like a lot to me right now. Sticking with the $30 to $50 feels more comfortable because I know that I can do that. But another thought has occurred to me recently, and I think this might partly be because I came across some more expensive things that I kind of felt a longing for. And that thought is that I might want to try just spending nothing in September or October, and then in November, maybe considering spending like $300 at once. I'm sort of toying with that. I haven't fully decided yet, but I think it might also be that because I'm settled now in a new place and I feel more stable, my routines are starting to come back. I like have something once again on which to hang, like the things that help me with my mental health. It might be that I'm just starting to feel like that might be possible now, whereas it hasn't really felt possible to plan that way until now. I'm not quite sure. Again, if I have more on this by the time I'm filming my check-in, I'll let you know then. But I just wanted to put it out there that that's where I'm at. In theory, the median would be that I have like $100 a month to spend every month until the end of the year, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. I might spend way less than that every month and come in way under, and I might save it all and then spend it all towards the end of the year. And I might spend about $100 a month. Who knows? But now we're on the same page. I've kind of gotten all caught up. I've done the math. I've let you know. And it's, it's looking good. Like it's looking like, in spite of this year having been so crazy bananas, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get through the rest of the year and have basically spent on beautiful things exactly the amount that I gave myself at the beginning of the year to spend on beautiful things. And that, my friends, is it. I really appreciate you for being here. Thank you so, so much. I'm looking forward to hearing your comments in the comment section down below, especially if you've been budgeting too. It's interesting for me. This is kind of a watershed moment, right? The middle of the year was really, really challenging and very unexpected. Like we did not expect it to go down this way. And so I've just kind of been like, parrying the blows that the world has sent at me. And one of the ways in which I've been doing that is just to really, really focus on making sure that I didn't get carried away spending my budget. I've done that. I've moved. I'm kind of through to the other side. And so I have this moment where I can kind of take a breath before we enter the last third of the year and make a plan. And that's what I've done, working out the numbers, kind of thinking about how it's going to be, what I really want to do with the remaining few $100s of my budget. It'll be interesting to see what happens. That's it. That really is it. Don't forget to take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.